What about my fight fans? So Jorge Masvidal recently did an interview, and in that interview, he says that he's pretty much open to having or opening to returning to the cage and whatnot. You know, he's opening to being back in the UFC. Let's put it this way: he's opening to continue fighting because even though he mentioned he's retired, even though he mentioned or he took off his gloves in Miami at UFC 287 and pretty much called it a day. I always felt like Jorge Masvidal had a lot more left in the gas tank. Like Jorge Masvidal could do a lot more. Maybe he would struggle with the top five, the upper echelon guys, the Kobe Covingtons, the Gilbert Burns, the um, Hamzat Chimaevs, the Leon Edwards, possibly, and the Kamaru Usman's drew a blank right there for a second. It might be struggle, but I believe Jorge Masvidal could still have one hell of a career, almost like a Nate Diaz career. Where Nate Diaz and Nick Diaz, they are super big stars, big stars, and none of them ever really carried a welterweight title, and none of them really ever could really do well in that upper welterweight or even lightweight class. If you really look at them, their fighting and their fighting style, it was just really difficult for these guys to go against wrestlers and whatnot. So Jorge Masvidal kind of in that same boat. And I always felt that Jorge Masvidal should have done a lot more different things with his later on in his career. He had one hell of a career back in 2019 when he fought Darren Till, when he fought Ben Askren, and when he fought Nate Diaz. You know, a lot of people had him up there and they're like, oh my God, he can do really good damage. I just felt like it was really good matchmaking. I'm not saying that Jorge Masvidal isn't a great fighter. He definitely is very, very good, but I never saw him up there in the like upper echelon where he could possibly out wrestle Kamaru Usman or out wrestle Kobe Covington or something to that nature. It always just felt like he was much more of a striker. He was much more of a like I said, a Nick or Nate Diaz. So when he fought Darren Till, great matchmaking. Darren Till is going to stand with him. He's not really going to wrestle. Ben Askren, I felt like that was one hell of a perfect time knee. One hell of a perfect time knee. If that knee did not land, I promise you, I feel very strongly that Ben Askren would have wrestled Jorge Masvidal for 3 rounds and won a unanimous decision. Me, that's my personal opinion. And of course, Nate Diaz, a perfect fight for him because again, Nate Diaz isn't gonna go to the ground, isn't gonna wrestle. So it was just beautiful matchmaking for Jorge Masvidal. Now we went into the Kamaru Usmans and the Kobe Covingtons and the Gilbert Burns, all really high level grapplers, all really good wrestlers, all have really good striking, and those are the guys that gave Jorge Masvidal the most problems. So that's why I always felt like in his matchmaking, what he could have done or what he still continued to do, especially I didn't want him to face Gilbert Burns because I felt like Gilbert Burns had a much more grappling than Jorge Masvidal. Even though Jorge Masvidal does have some, but just not enough for the upper echelon. I felt like he should have went in there, rematched Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. That would actually been a very fun fight. We know Stephen, he is not necessarily known for his grappling. Then we got Kevin Holland, again, a guy who is not known for his grappling. He is longer and he is taller, and he probably would have gave Jorge Masvidal some trouble, but it would have been a very good matchup for Jorge Masvidal. And of course, why not call big brother out? You already beat younger brother. You already beat the little brother. Why not call the big brother out? Why not call Nick Diaz and make a big super fight out of that? Again, Nick Diaz, known grappler. Of course, he has a black belt in his jiu-jitsu and whatnot. But we already know Nick Diaz has always been known for his striking. One hell of a boxer, definitely. Maybe a little bit past his prime, of course. We've seen him in that rematch with Robbie Lawler. Wasn't quite the same, but still, who would not want to see that? Jorge Masvidal versus Nick Diaz? I definitely would. Of course, if Nate Diaz returns, that's another rematch that we did not, finally get to finish the fight. Unfortunately, that was a really bad stoppage. It sucked, but hey, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And of course, a big fight, a big payday fight against Conor McGregor. Again, a guy who's not a wrestler. These are all big star fights. These are all millions of dollars that Jorge Masvidal could still continue to make. And guess what? These are all potential matchups that he can actually win. He can actually win some of these matchups. He can actually win some of them or maybe even all of them. You never know. So I feel like Jorge Masvidal could definitely return. I feel like Jorge Masvidal could still do it. And I feel like Jorge Masvidal can still compete with some of these guys for sure. So guys, let me know in the comments what you think about Jorge Masvidal. Should he continue? Should he stay retired? Should he fight some of the guys that I mentioned? Or should he fight somebody else in a different organization, in a different weight class, or do something else? Let me know in the comments, guys. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.